Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now, if you're someone who would like to get into 3D printing, or you're an experienced 3D printer and it actually drives you nuts, the leveling, the bed leveling, and getting just your prints, that first layer, absolutely perfect, then you're going to want to watch this video. Because today we're going to talk about a brand new printer that really solves the bed leveling. It's kind of a little freaky for me as I was testing this product out. Today we're going to talk about the Mingda Magician. It's a new 3D printer that eliminates leveling completely. It eliminates it so much that it has no bed leveling adjustment at all, no knobs. Let's go ahead and check it out. As I mentioned, the Mingda Magician is a brand new 3D printer that eliminates the headaches of leveling completely. It eliminates it so much to the point that there is no leveling springs at the very bottom of the bed. And this is something that I was like freaking out. I was like, okay, what if this doesn't work? What do you do? So no more leveling. And from a build plate perspective, it is super easy to set up. It's literally 99% constructed when you receive it. So it is pre-assembled, so it just takes a couple seconds. Now, for those of you who are really interested in the specs and what this printer does, let's talk about that for a second. Now, from a print perspective, you have a build volume of 230 by 230 by 260 millimeters. It also features double gear direct extruders. Ultra silent printing. This thing is super duper quiet. And it also has 0.4 millimeter print nozzle. Now, from a print perspective, you can expect to print PLA, TBU, carbon fiber, and aluminum PLA. Never printed aluminum PLA. I'm going to try to get my hands on that. And then of course, wood PLA. So a lot of flexibility when it comes to printing. Now the nozzle can heat up all the way up to 250 and the bed temperature can rise all the way up to 110. It also is using a 4th generation glass platform that makes it super easy to remove prints. Literally no spatula required. You literally run the print. As soon as it cools off, it just pops off. And it's so satisfying to see that so smooth finish. It's almost glass-like the bottom. Now this printer also features a 3.5 touchscreen and it has some really nice shortcuts which include preheating PLA or ABS. And that for me is super important. One of the most important things in any kind of 3D printing is making sure that you have that great first layer. And one of the things that drives me nuts is when I go to the printer, I put in the actual print, and then I have to wait for everything to heat up and stick around to see that first layer go down. So with this, I'm able to hit that button, get it warmed up to the temperature I need to print, and then when I put in that card, which is kind of like my work order, I'm able to then get that print started immediately so I can walk away. It also has filament detection sensor as well. So if you run out of filament, you don't have to worry. Now, another really thoughtful feature is that it has a built-in toolbox because I have tools everywhere around my printers. And actually what I end up doing is I put them in a separate location and then I have to walk to it. So I like that I have all my adjusting and my tools right in the printer. Now, one other area that kind of drives me nuts, especially since you have multiple printers, and I have to tell you, anyone who has one printer, you're never just going to have one. You're going to have two, and in some cases you're going to have three, and in some cases you may have even 4 or more. So that's just what happens in a maker's world. And for me, one of the most frustrating things is that 3D printers lack standards when it comes to loading prints. Yes, you can do Wi-Fi, and there's other things you can do. But one of the cool things about this printer is that if you want to be able to load via USB, you can. If you want to do via SD, you can. If you want to be able to do it via USB-C, you can too. Now that's a great idea. Now before taking a look at the prints, one of the things I wanted to highlight is that this is a pre-production unit. So I've been receiving frequent upgrades, firmware upgrades from Minda almost every 2 weeks. And I actually have another one in my mailbox right now that I have to take a look at. So I'm also using slicer settings that are probably not finalized yet. So keep in mind that this is the initial, I would say, print quality based on the testing that I've been doing. One other thing I wanted to highlight. The auto leveling works. It really, really does. And the cool thing about this is unlike other auto leveling that I've tested, like a BL Touch of that type, every single time that you go to run a print job, how the little probe goes down and it pretty much measures your bed, right, or the level, and then it starts to print. Well, this thing, only the very first time that you do the auto level is all you need. So every time you run to print, the print is going to be faster because it doesn't have to do a leveling test, which I think is a great change. Now, I have experienced that as I've done firmware upgrades that I've had to re-level the bed, but again, it's only once. So I've been able to print all the prints that you have here and several other ones with just leveling it once and then running these prints. But again, slicer and firmware is still something that I see that they're upgrading. So As we take a look at this very first one, and we're going to move these guys aside so that they don't distract for a second. Check a look at the vase here. The vase here is one of the first prints that I printed, and it's on the actual SD card. And remember I said how the bottom had a glass-like finish? Notice how slick this looks. I love this. Look how, you know, it just, let's put it in an angle, see if I can get it to reflect. There you go. It's just really, really nice, you know, I would say first layer. And I have flex plates that give you kind of a rough finish on the bottom. I really love the way this finish is here. And then at the top, which is also something really telling, is look at how the last layer is. Look how clean that last layer is. This really speaks to the potential of the printer. And obviously the G-code for this vase was really, really cleaned, right? They really tuned this really nicely. So notice no stray filaments, just a really, really nice job. So we did some other printing, right? So you've seen me print this guy before, and this one was done without any supports, right? No supports whatsoever. Just wanted to see, you know, how well it did in my test. It's a little bit heavier because I didn't reduce the filament, so it took a lot to print. So look at here. You can see while there is some slight texture, there isn't really much in the way of layer lines in many areas. Like some areas are really smooth, and other areas like right here you can tell that there's some layer lines. You can see that right there. And you can see right here that it looks like there was maybe a little shift, something going on. You can see how clean it is right here, and then all of a sudden here you have the line. And in the back, this is where you can also see it. So notice how smooth. We have the seam right there. But all in all, I think that this was a great, great print. Again, pre-production, so this can only get better. And look at the chin. The chin is nice. The nose is nice. Everything here is really nice without any supports. And we ran some other things, right? So we ran one of these screws. This is where I could tell that there's some tweaking that could happen. While this rotates, and you can see me rotating, I felt that it's not as smooth as it could be. But once again, this is a pre-production model, and it can only get better from here. But if you take a look at this, this looks pretty sharp. So we went ahead and moved from silk PLA to some grays. And this is another nice print. Again, no supports, and you can see right here how you have some small defects here. But notice the teeth, the eyes, as we rotate this. I'm really happy with this, especially since you know, there's just so many more improvements coming. Notice the top here, the finish, and how well this turned out. Now let's take a look at this rocket ship, and this is the other one that we had. Rocket ship also turned out really nice. Again, could use some smoothing. As soon as we tweak the actual Cura settings, I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. And then also with some of the updates coming, that should be fine as well. Look at the bottom. Look how nice that first layer is. Keep on saying, first layer is the most important layer. And look at how nice that is right there. Smooth to the touch too. And then when we look at the very top, it had a real nice finish, right? Had some problems here, slight problems. You can see that right here. But all in all, it's a great printer. So the last print I wanted to share with you was one that is not finished, one that has some cleaning to do and actually has some tweaking that I should have done on the actually on the slicer file. So as you take a look at this, this is the Loki, female Loki, I would say crown. And I just want to highlight first of all, one of the things that I'm really impressed with, right? So some of the benefits or the things that I thought it did really well. So first of all, look at this right here, this side. I think this looks fantastic. This is silk gold PLA. Right? Look how clean this is. Right? And by the way, this is from Nico Industries, right? So this is a Nico Industry. Very, very, very clean print. But I can actually do some improvements over here on the actual supports. I didn't really tweak the supports settings, so they're a little harder to remove. But I'll be able to clean this up. You can look at this side, how good it looks. And then look at how nice here this horn looks. And you can see, even this angle right here looks really, really nice. So this is something that I made for Nelda. Maybe this Halloween she'll go as the female Loki. But, you know, this is how it looks. All right? Really, really clean. And, again, for, a pre-production printer that is receiving firmware updates, that has some new tech when it comes to the auto bed leveling, where it auto bed levels once and then it could be used over and over again, I think it's a great printer. It has lots of potential. So once it becomes available to market, I would encourage you to check it out. See you in the next one.